And
Okay.
let me ask, with the high-level players, I always think it's good to let them drive a bit. How do you see this time being productive? We can do VOD review. You mentioned that there might be some troubles getting recent matches. We can also take a look at you playing while I spectate. What do you think would be helpful?
Well, I think it's fine to look at videos that are a little bit older on the older side, because I've kind of played the same for the last 50 years, so, that's fine. It's really just been an incremental improvement on that, so if there's something that I used to do that I don't do anymore, if there's something that I do now I, uh, that I didn't used to do, I can just tell you about that. Sorry, I got a little distracted in that sentence because I'm receiving a phone call. That's strange. I never get phone calls. Anyways,
Yeah, no
I
worries.
have I think VOD review would probably be helpful. I would be more willing to try showing you my gameplay if I had an easy way, like practically, to do that, but the computer that I use to call people is a different one than the one that I use to play Melee on, so it might take me a couple minutes to set that up. But I do have,
Let's start
I
with
think
VOD
I
review.
wanted to, what was that?
Let's start with VOD review. That seems to be the one that you're more interested in doing. So let's start with that.
Okay. The most recent video that I have that I think would be useful to look at is from about 9 months ago.
Sure.
Uh, it is. Oh, another thing that I wanted to talk about is I'm just so wishy-washy when it comes to matchups and when it comes to character choices. One of the most frequent questions that I get is what makes you choose whether you're going to go this character or another character when you're playing someone?
Mm-hmm.
And the best answer that I can give them is that I just vibe it out. I have to go with what feels right because I think the way that the matchups in this game are played at the current level are not anywhere close to the top level in like the top theoretical level in like virtually any of them. I think there's so much room for improvement that you could justify playing virtually any character in any matchup. So
Certainly
I
amongst the
don't
top
know.
characters, I'd agree with that.
Yeah, so the matchups that I like tend to be like traditionally considered not the best matchups for the characters that are playing them. Like I like playing Sheik against Fox, and I like playing Fox against Marth. And any Fox Sheik dual main that you ask would probably invert those choices. And I also like playing Marth versus Sheik. So maybe I'm a little bit of a masochist. Maybe I just see things differently. I don't know.
Well, it's not my desire to take away what brings you joy. I'm just curious. What do you like about the dynamics of those matchups?
In Sheik versus Fox, I think like at a theoretical level, if your punish is that good, so at a theoretical level, when you get the grab, your opponent respects your tech chase, which is not the world that we're living in. So they DI to offstage, which is not the world that we're living in. And they play a mix up, they play a recovery mix up, so you get like a 33 to 50% chance that your opponent just dies instantly, which I think is cool. If they don't respect your tech chase, then you just tech chase them perfectly and they die, which I think is cool. Whereas their punish game is like it takes them a couple reads to get a zero to death.
Okay.
But beyond that, they can pretty easily get like, 60% or whatever, and then from an edge guard, you're gonna die. So the way that I look at it at its most base level is like one OPK versus two OPK, and the neutral is like not that far in either character's advantage.
Interesting. So I guess my
For Sheik versus Fox.
sure. Let me ask you about something though, because you raised something interesting there. So if they go to the edge and you have to win at least a 1 in 3 or a 1 in 2 to get the kill, how is that different than Fox having to get like a read or two?
Um, I don't think it would be altogether that different, but that would mean that the worst case scenario would be that the matchup is relatively even when it comes to openings.
Okay. So damage output wise, yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah, that's that one. I also just really don't like oh, I guess that doesn't really. That's not what we were talking about. The feeling of playing Fox versus Sheik just doesn't feel very good to me. When I play as a Fox against a Sheik, I kind of always feel like I'm behind, and I have for years. But that's a different problem. What are the other matchups that I said I liked?
Marth.
Fox versus Marth.
Yeah, Fox versus Marth.
I feel like Fox's neutral game is like kind of oppressive, and the punish game is a lot easier to execute. Like even when I play against Marth 2, I'm like, okay, you should be killing me off of the opening. it doesn't really feel that bad because I feel like when I'm playing well, I just don't lose neutral very often, and the punish is like it's very punishing. You can kill Marth off of openings sometimes, and like yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay, fair enough. So you've got an oppressive neutral and punish, like an oppressive neutral game and a very streamlined punish game in Fox versus Marth, and I would agree with that. Like neutral, once Fox is really breached to the point at which Marth can like effectively undershoot her. Yeah, he's just in a lot of he's in a lot of hot water. So I can see that. I'm interested in the Fox versus Sheik bit though, because for that one you mentioned that you feel behind a lot. Can you tell me what you mean by that?
Um, it feels like I can't really like get in on her and happily play the mix-ups that I would like to be playing versus like Marth, for example. It might be because when I'm reading her, I have to be doing things like hitting her moves or hitting her jumps instead of hitting dashes. I'm very, very comfortable hitting dashes with any character against any character.
Okay. So so the mix-ups you like to play are more ground-based. That's the impression I'm getting.
Yeah, definitely. My opponent full hops in, I unplug my controller.
Hmm. Do you think that like if that changed, i.e., if you understood that situation, like how to account for jumps more effectively, do you think that any of these preferences would change?
Yeah, I think it's very possible. Like the preferences that I prefer playing at a human level, at least, I don't think it would probably change how I feel about them at a theoretical level.
Right, but we're not worried about the theoretical level because that's something that we can't really prove. All we
Hmm.
can ever prove is the human level. So, at a human level, you think that if you understood, say, like how to handle a jumping opponent, those kinds of like more vertical based mix-ups, maybe Sheik, you would prefer Sheik versus Marth. I'm not saying you would, but perhaps. And similarly, possibly enjoy playing Fox into Sheik. Mm,
Yeah, it's
oh,
definitely possible.
okay, okay. And how many characters are you like juggling right now? Is it three or
It's about four because I also play Ice Climbers sometimes.
okay? And in terms of that's a lot of characters to balance between. How do you allocate your practice currently?
Usually when I practice, I pick about two characters that I want to be taking more seriously, and then the other two will sort of like fall on the back burner, and I'll use them if I really think there's a reason for me to.
Mm-hmm.
But usually when I practice Fox and Sheik, and then I'll occasionally practice the other two characters. Like sometimes I'll just be in a mirth mood for like a month or two, and I'm like, okay, this is going to be the character that I'm taking more seriously, and I'll start practicing him.
Okay. And is it and what function does the variety fulfill? Because I think that between Fox and Sheik, you have basically like coverage across the cast. Um, but so I'm curious, is it more of like a maintaining interest thing? Is it like do you just like I'm just trying to understand the
Mhm.
process behind this.
It's definitely a maintaining interest thing. I've been like the best player in my city for like 7 years, so the reason that I play so many characters is that I got bored of beating everyone with one character over and over again.
Been there.
Um, so it's like kind of like that, but now the character switching is just so ingrained in me that I do it against almost everyone. Sometimes I'll come across a fox that's like particularly difficult, and I'll find that I have better chances if I play a matchup they're less familiar in or less comfortable in, like playing Marth or Ice Climbers. Or Peach has also always been a really weird character for me to fight against, so sometimes I'll counterpick Marth there. Uh, but generally, I'll just play Marth if I'm feeling like playing Marth. Like I said, a lot of it is very feel based.
Okay. So So I do have. So I will admit I have concerns about juggling that many characters. The most I've ever really seen is three. Having said that, again, who knows? Maybe you'll be the first one to do it. It's all good. And again, I'm not really here to stop you from doing what you want to do. That's not my prerogative. I do want to ask you though, when you're fighting these Fox players that you notice that like are really really managing to hang with your Fox and Sheik, which are the characters for all intents and purposes that you've developed the most, right?
Hmm.
Do you find the wins are just as satisfying when you beat them with like ice climbers because they don't know the matchup? Or do you think that if you found a way to play Fox or Sheik into them and overcome that challenge, do you think that would be more rewarding?
It doesn't really make a huge difference to me. I think it actually might be more satisfying when I switch characters to beat them because it feels like I'm rewarded for like the skill tree that I chose to follow of being able to play a lot of characters. Another thing is that like Ice Climbers might just be my favorite character to play in the game. Like I've for like I just think they're really, really, really cool, and I like playing them a lot. Like if I had to pick a character with, if I'm losing with any characters, and I don't really feel like I'm learning all that much.
Okay, sound cut out for just a bit, but like basically, Ice Climbers are the character that you like playing the most, right?
Yeah, if I had to pick someone to lose with, or if I had to pick someone I'm just gonna be learning with like all the time, probably, like I'm not worried about my results at all, then I would probably just be picking Ice Climbers.
Okay. And where would if you had to rate your characters in terms of which ones you like most to least, how would you do them? So Ice Climbers are clearly first, right?
Yeah, it's Ice Climbers and then Sheik most of the time, but sometimes Fox is above that, and then Martha's probably at the bottom.
Hmm. Icy Sheik Fox sounds like a pretty competitive roster. I'm not gonna lie. Okay. Well, I think that's enough questions for now. Let's take a look at some games, and we'll go from there. Do you have some matches to send me?
Yes, I have this one.
Wonderful. So here we go. Let's go full screen. Let's bring that up, and let me know if you can see this.
Yes, I can see that.
Perfect. Let's lower the volume so we don't explode, and then let's also do slow down to 0.75, 0.5, yeah, 0.5.
Anything's fine.
So this is preeminent.
Yes.
And preeminent's pretty good. Are they in your region or no?
We were like staying with each other for a while, like basically living together in the Chicago region so that we could get better practice for like about like a couple weeks to a month. So we played like about 10 sets during that time, and this was towards the tail end of that.
Okay. So what's going on right now in your mind? Like what are the do's and don'ts of fighting preeminent? Because you've clearly fought him before, and what are the do's and what are the do's and don'ts of fighting Fox, and what are the do's and don'ts of fighting preeminent?
Well, the thing about fighting Preeminent is that he plays incredibly streamlined and very, very efficient, and also he is obscenely experienced in this matchup. I don't know if you know, obviously you know Ben the Sheik. You might not know that they're related. They're cousins. They've known each other since they were very young, and they've played at a million tournaments. And he's also like very good versus Ben. Like I think he's won the past 8 or 9 sets that he's played versus Ben in tournament. Um,
Gotcha. Okay.
So part of what I'm thinking is I'm up against a very formidable opponent. I have to do something that one of the best players in the world that I respect a lot with this character just can't do at all. I need to hit my punishes that I practice at this point all the time, and I need to win the mix-ups that I'm playing, like the neutral mix-ups. I need to know when to read his dashes, I know when to read his approaches, and I need to not overextend when I'm falling.
That all sounds very difficult.
Yes.
I bet there's probably I bet if we work together, we can probably find something that's not quite so difficult we could do.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, because I was like, I know that this technically works, but it doesn't feel like the easiest thing to do.
Does it work? Does it work? It sounds like this guy's really successful versus Sheiks.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that I was positive with him versus Sheik, but I was able to take a couple sets here and there, and I was pretty proud of that for like where I was at the time.
True. No, like he's obviously extremely skilled. I'm looking at what he's doing, and I'm like, yeah, streamlined is a very nice way to put it. No kidding. I'm kidding. Very polite, very 2024.
Yeah.
So let's back up. Let's back up here because there's a few things I want to talk about. I think.
Yeah.
So we have walking. So tell me what the purpose of that fair was. So that's a bait just to get him to like do something to try to punish, right?
The fair is like I put it out to kind of like
It's an
I
undershield.
don't think
You're defending your space basically, and then like if he runs into it, cool. If not, you're still safe.
yeah, pretty much.
Cool. Love it. So one thing I want to ask about is how do you? What's your level of understanding with the RTC?
Um, I can like tech chase foxes of about this level 0 to death when I have it practiced. Maybe like 40% of the time. Like I've practiced it for extensive hours, and I think I'm probably one of the better people at doing it.
Okay. So let's look at what we do during the combo, because
Mhm.
I'm curious to this. So we get up through up aired. He hits you onto the platform. Cool. You hold your shield for a while. You try to jump. You're like, okay. So this is a big thing. So
Mhm.
look at the space that he's controlling. Does it make sense for us to like play into this? No, to play into that, like to go on to drop here.
Looking at it, no. I was trying to play like a sort of a timing mix-up to get some sort of like, fair into grab, ideally, that kind of thing. But I could just reposition. I could just go to top platform. I could stay where I am.
Okay, you're gonna be. So do what color do you want to be? I'm thinking. Yeah, pick a color.
I like purple.
Purple, love it. Okay, cool. And he'll be blue. So, my question here is, if you want to hit him, because his hitboxes are going to hit like basically here, right? Like this would
Hmm.
be back, the up tilt, back air can kind of go up because it's an aerial. He's got up smash here, but it's like mainly in front of him. So my question here is, if we're going to leave this platform, why don't we just drop down and then space the back air instead?
Yeah, that makes sense to me. That was as soon as you like got into looking at the situation, that was like the first thing that I thought of after going to top plat.
Yeah, so like this is a point. So this is a really important point. This edge of the platform, because this is what I call like a choke point, because it's the decision point that determines whether we go here, whether we like stay on the platform, whether we go to the ground. There's lots of things that happen in this position. So this is a crucial area to like know our options. Um, the other neat thing here is we don't necessarily, because it looks like he's just waiting for us, right?
Hmm.
So you don't necessarily have to like show your hand right away either. Like there are options where you like drop down and then come back up, and then waveland, for example. So you have a lot of different options here. I would caution being so I would caution being so direct, like above Fox, who's below you on platform.
Hmm.
Um, I think that's a big thing. The other thing here that's really good that you can also do is light shield, right?
Yeah, I light shield here a lot.
Yeah, so light shield push off, you've got go to ground, so ground game, then you've also got top plat, and you've also have aerials while coming down. So this gives you tons of options. I think that like when we're here, it's easy for us, and there's mix-ups with timing, like with this stuff in the middle too, with like the waveland shield drop and waveland stuff, because he will see you dropping through, and if that's his cue,
Hmm.
like if that's the thing he's reacting to, then yeah, we can potentially bait him. Um, yeah, because like if we come off this side and he up tilts, we can potentially needle grab him. So there's like a real lot of options here. What jumps out at you as appealing?
Um, I think the thing that to me the most is like going to top platform, but I don't really know what I would do once. I think my playing like on the platforms is one of the weaker points of my game plan. Like I said, I'm used to reading dashes, I'm used to doing stuff like pivot grabs, but being up there is a little bit uncomfortable.
So what is it about being up here that's uncomfortable? What are you worried about?
Um, the thing that I imagine happening first is that I spend a lot of time up there and then I get red, or I try to leave the platform, go to a different platform, and get red on the way.
Okay. So you're worried about like that you're going to get called out for moving up here. And why is being called out up here so like scary compared to like, because that can happen on the ground. Your movement can be red on the ground too.
Yeah, it can. I'm just more comfortable with it, I think, and I'm less comfortable with like the like how I would go about punishing my opponent reading that. Because it's like if I get red on the ground, I know exactly what I could have done to not get red in that spot. But if I get punished on top plat, I'm like, they backered me. Damn.
Then why would we want to go to top plat if we get punished for going there?
Because this just doesn't feel like a very good situation for me at all. So anything that I can do to keep myself safe, to like just kind of keep it going without getting hit immediately kind of feels good.
Okay, well, I would feel like that. So my position is, if that's the case, then we just do this. We just run off and we put out our back here as we're like drifting away from him.
Yeah, I think that makes the most sense. It's like intuitively not the one that I would do first, but after having thought about it, I think it's the one that I like the most.
Yeah. So like, remember, your moves are very powerful. It's very difficult. Like, it's hard for him to approach your back air in general, right? So
Hmm.
using that as a way, as a defense as a way to defend ourselves as we're retreating is a very big part of this matchup. He does have to basically respect it if we're moving away from him and he hasn't already gotten into our zone. If he can't line
Hmm.
up the arc of his jump into ours effectively, like if he's actually starting his jump into ours when we're already airborne and have our foot out, yeah, he's just gonna lose every time. Um,
Yeah.
so we don't have to worry about that. And the other thing that this kind of creates is it like leverages our mix-up coming off the platform effectively, because it means that we can like potentially hit him here if we fall straight down. But if we just don't and we keep drifting away or fast fall away from him, then yeah, then we have like more safety. We can put up our wall and then dash over here, and then we're good to go.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense as a way to reset it without like losing too much and
Yeah.
possibly even getting a hit.
Yeah, because up here we're probably. I agree with you. Like up here is kind of uncomfortable because he's probably just gonna hang out below us and like hit an up air at some point on our way down. So I'm thinking like let's not even go up here. Like if we can help it, why go up here? We have nothing up there.
Hmm.
Yeah. Do you have anything that you want to add to this situation? Do you want to move on from it, or like how are you finding this? Is this working for you, or is this too like granular? Or yeah.
I think the situation itself makes sense, and I'm going to apply it to when I'm in this situation in the future, because the way that I played it before was definitely very Dreffen influenced. I'm gonna try to play a timing mix-up that beats everything that you're gonna do, and that might not be the best approach. I think it might be a little bit too granular for me.
Okay. So what's to so do you find that this kind of approach wouldn't be applicable elsewhere?
Um, I don't know how I personally would decide which situations to look at and which ones to pass by.
Okay. So
So maybe with your help, it could be more useful.
sure. Because I'm thinking that well, so my thinking is that if you're not uncomfortable in the air, do you think it's possible that you might have a habit of coming down on attacks, or not understanding who like what the role of each player is when somebody's above someone?
Um, well, one of my strengths is sharking other people, so I think at least from that perspective, I have a pretty good understanding of it.
Okay. So that's interesting because I would think that if your strength is sharking people, then playing like vertically oriented mix-ups should be like second nature. Like that's because that's
Uh,
really what it is, right?
maybe playing vertical mix-ups when I have advantage is like totally fine. When it's closer to neutral or I'm disadvantaged somehow, that does not feel very good.
Okay. So would you say that you have advantage going into this next one here?
Um,
Like no,
yeah, I
right?
think I
You
think
do.
I think I'm wait, if you're going back to like right before he does the full hop up air, I think the spacing that he was at, if I had forward tilted like specifically, I think forward tilt just turns the situation into a good situation.
I think this is still a good situation. Like I still think this is a very good situation because like the positioning what we have here is so something that people get wrong a lot with Fox when it comes to with juggling dealing with him in general is they try to be here.
Like
Um,
right beneath him.
yeah, because they usually think like up like my up tilt, my anti air, but that's not actually good. can you tell me why you seem to get why it's not good here based on your positioning and how you act? Why isn't being here good?
You can't really hit him with your moves that hit in front of you.
Yeah, but you could hit him with your up tilt. You have your up air. You have your
You
fair.
could,
What's
it
the
doesn't
problem
really
though?
it doesn't really last as long as your forward tilt is, but I don't think that's the answer that you're looking for.
Not quite. Can he hit you, like with his jump trajectory being basically like this? Can he hit you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I suppose you outspace the move itself.
Uh-huh. Whereas if we're here, even if he doesn't commit to this up air, pretend he's not up airing, he still has his
Hmm.
double jump, which means that he has one really good mix-up that he
Hmm.
can use to like threaten us when we're below him. But we can solve that entire problem by moving to the side, because now all of a sudden we don't have to deal with that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, can we think of a similar dynamic, a way that this kind of dynamic is in any way similar to the one that we have when we're below him on the Dreamland platform?
Yeah, it's exactly the same.
Yeah, because we're like moving to the side. We no longer he has to move in order to hit us. Like he has to
Hmm.
like go. He has to reposition his wave dash, like with wave dash or walk or whatever, to make the up tilt work. He then has to which is why moving forward to that choke point is good. In order he's left with one option that hits us. Like the dynamic is a little different because we're the one above him and we're a little bit more on even, like we're on more even footing. Nobody's committed to a jump trajectory, so the players are more fixed. But the idea that like we're now outside of the range of his tools if we commit to like a straightforward action, and then he can just play around it in a variety of flexible ways because he's going second. He can effectively go second, so to speak. Yeah, that's still the same, I'd say. What do you think?
Yeah, it makes sense to me and it fits into the framework of how I think about Fox already, which is that
Mm-hmm.
have a lot of range on his moves, you can outspace him. So, like, it gives me a more precise idea of where I would want to be spacing relative to Fox, where I would be like, because my previous idea is that be relative. Now I want to be relatively like the tip of my back air and the spacing of my fair, but not closer to that.
Yeah, like if this is the tip of your back here, you probably want to be like here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think that makes perfect sense. And then like we can also use things like because like that'll also catch like forward tilt. It'll also catch your fair. It'll also catch your like it just catches everything. No, your down tilt. Like it catches everything having this kind of positioning. So I would say like
Hmm.
this is kind of like the really the money zone relative to him, like somewhere like this kind of territory.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah. And then what you can see how we're kind of creating a version of that by with the side plat thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So is it a little less granular? A little bit? Does it make a little more sense, or do we still? Is it
Yeah, yeah, it does. It covers more situations, so I'm happy.
for sure? Because yeah, I want this to work for you. So if you tell me there's something wrong, I will listen. Love this. I would have dared. I might have been wrong to do it, but I probably would have dared. Like because okay, so I just feel like you can go like hit here and like cover like this side, and if he goes over here, you just like shield drop fair.
Yeah, I did cover admittedly few options with my choice.
It's all good. That's just moves.
Mhm.
That's easy enough. Nice. Kick him in the face. Love to see it.
Are we still at a 0.25 speed?
Oh yeah. Sorry, my bad. We should increase that. My bad.
Okay.
Whoopsie daisy. We can like watch the fox die faster.
Hmm.
Though I could watch him die forever. Okay, so this situation, Fox pressuring us when we're on the edge. What's the plan?
Um, I kind of like to use a highway hypnosis type approach, where I try to lull them into a false sense of security by stalling ledge for a really long time, and then if they ever start trying to take the ledge, that because I get real mix-ups off of that.
Gotcha. I know that improve your ledge dashes is not good. It is not like terribly insightful advice, but like, what are your thoughts on Sheik's ledge dash in that spot?
I think it's okay. Preeminent in particular is very good at hitting Sheik's ledge dash and all of the mix-ups off of it because like he plays against Ben. Ben is a little bit of a little bit of a skill monster. He really likes ledge dashing, so it's like kind of a player choice not to very often.
Okay, but for some reason the sound keeps cutting out. Is everything okay on your end?
Um, yeah, I don't know what's causing that. It might be because I'm like moving around a little bit and it's a laptop mic.
Ah, okay. No worries. So I guess my main question would be is if what when have you attempted like the ledge dash mix-ups on preeminent in the past?
Yeah, definitely. Most of the time I just get back aired after my move is like not invincible anymore.
Okay. And what happens if you don't do a move?
I get back aired while I'm standing there.
Yeah, but what if you dash out of the way of it?
Like dash forward or dash back.
Either. Depends on how he does the back here, I suppose.
Uh, I think I like if I've tried that, I haven't tried it very many times.
Okay. What about like roll? What about just rolling through him as he's like full hopping, right? Because if he's jumping up, we could potentially get on the other side of him because he's still committed to the full hop for a while.
Mhm. That seems like a good idea.
Yeah. So I think that one of the things with Fox's back air that people sometimes forget is that it does have a good chunk of end lag on it, right?
Hmm.
Like it's 10 frames of end lag, like which is a lot for a Fox aerial. So I think that
Yeah.
if we're going to be like pressured with back air I think is one of the game's big like one of the Fox's full hop back air in the corner I think is one of the game's main like first like really hard execution tests. And it's a doozy, like it really is. But I do think that like we have to remember that like that it's a move that it's effectively a really good undershoot that has some like whiff punish stuff built into it because of the full hop range. But it kind of multitasks, which makes it insane. But if we
Hmm.
can't get up there and like challenge it directly, which is and from the ledge, we definitely can't. Like, see, imagine if instead of forward tilting, you had like rolled here.
Yeah, that would have been really nice.
So maybe we can trust our ledge dashes more, but think a little bit more about like how we can
Like
deal.
evasive action.
Yeah, like we don't have to fight him necessarily. If he's making it if he's making it impractical to fight, we don't have to.
Hmm.
Because what I get the impression is he is making it very, very impractical to like fight to have a head-on confrontation with him, and you very much want to have a head-on confrontation with him.
That's true. I want to confront this guy.
I mean, he's just so confrontable looking. Like that back air to me was okay. Up air's a little ambitious there. Was that up air? Did you mean to up air there?
I probably did. It's one of the moves that I use just kind of intuitively.
Okay. So maybe this is a good opportunity to talk about threat zones in the air.
Hmm.
Because I think that like this is a big deal. So what are you so with the up air that you're doing here? Let me grab this. What are you covering with it? Like what are you trying to read or go for?
So I'm thinking of it similarly to the way that I do about forward air and back air, where I'm just trying to hit him with something so that I can get him less in crouch cancel percent so that I unlock more of my kit.
Yeah, because he's
Um,
very close to the magic 24, and then like yeah, one of these like 24 is a big one, 26 is also kind of a big one. Yeah, I get it.
So the main thing that I'm covering is like if he had just shield dropped or dropped through the platform instead of dashing off of it, which this is funny that this is very similar to our other thing that we looked at earlier, but side.
Mm-hmm. Because like if he's up here, because here's the thing, like even let's say he is up here and he does go for that shield drop, right? Well, what if he
Hmm.
just doesn't go for it right away?
I'm screwed. I'm done for. Zero to death.
Right, but like if we jump like this, like so I don't hate this jump, believe it or not, because I think that you do it like pretty well like in relation to him. Let's just get
Hmm.
back there. Okay, cool. So you get this one, and like let's slow this down. So So yeah, like he's shield dropped, and then I think that he starts like moving off the platform. Yeah, like this is fine, because if he drops here, you can always try to trade with Nair using its startup time, or go for like fair or whatever. But, so this is good. What I think is, what we missed was that he moved off the side though. Because I think that like, if, with this kind of position, the key thing here is to not show your hand or commit to this kind of like all in, as nearly as early as we're doing them. A lot of times it's actually good to just like full hop and then like like I think of it kind of like full hopping and fast falling is just generally kind of okay. And then if we because we're scouting, and then if he's like goes into a flight path that we can challenge, then we can put these out or try to trade with him if he's in front of us. But we don't want to like show our hand too quickly. The other thing that this does is, by doing this full hop, is that it gives us the option to use our double jump if we want to. Because we could put that. Can you see some reasons why keeping our double jump accessible could be good here at low percent?
Yeah, it's good if I get hit out of whatever I'm doing. It's good if I decide that I want to go to top platform for some reason. If I want to like have access to more drift so I can get to the other platform, just gives me a lot more options.
Right. So, but by going for this up air like here at the earliest possible point that you can, you don't really give yourself the option to do any of those things. Yeah,
I think it also leads into another point, which is that kind of saying is like full hop and then try to react or try to like do later in your jump, whereas what I was doing,
yeah, for sure,
doing a mix up. I was doing a full hop up air.
Yeah, so it cut out a bit, but what I caught was like, yeah, you're basically just kind of like full hopping around with up air because you're trying to hit him. Like you're trying to like hit him at this point. But the thing is, he doesn't have to necessarily like be here, nor does he have to like, even if you came up with this, like even if you came up with this and he stayed here, like he can potentially short hop, he can potentially spot dodge, he can go off either side, he can shield drop back air. Because the other thing is if he moves forward and shield drop back airs on this up air, like he's well aligned to like counter your up air. So we just want to make sure that we're not hanging ourselves by committing too early to something. Yeah, like that's a big thing. The other cool thing that you can do here that's kind of neat is you can actually then form a mix up if you use your short hop as well, because Sheik's short hop is like, it's like high, so it's like fairly, it's not completely indistinguishable from her like full hop. Like obviously you can tell, but it's not that easy to tell. Like if you're in the heat of the moment, it's easy to get these two mixed. Like her full hop's probably like realistically up here, but like it's easy to get these kinds of trajectories like mixed up with each other. So this adds like another dimension to how you can trick people. And you can still reach top platform, I'm pretty sure, with short hop double jump. So you're not actually losing offense either.
Yeah.
So, any thoughts about this situation, or what we could, or things, or anything you want to point out, other ideas? I'm all ears.
How
about merits of playing the ground, or how this can support your ground game?
I'm not sure how the two link together.
Sure. So okay, fair enough. So what is the purpose of Sheik's ground game? Like, let's say you stay on the ground here, right? What is the purpose of Sheik's ground game? Like, what are you looking for?
I'm looking for them to fall with an aerial or something that misses me so I can grab them.
Okay, fair enough. And okay, so look for that, and no, look for them to fall with an aerial so they can grab you. So if you're delaying your jump, if you're delaying your jump, as like if they know that you're and what are their responses exactly to you like jumping around with these moves? Like what do you think they're likely to do?
Try to like not really space around them, but like space around the possibility of it, like space over it with a back air or something, hit it with an up air, that kind of thing, shield it, and then do something out of shield.
Right, so if you're potentially doing these jumps, but not swinging, could empty jump into like, say, Waveland, or empty jump into immediate dash? Could those be potentially ways of baiting them?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they could.
And if they notice that you're doing that a lot, or if they take a more passive line, like if they start like hanging back here, like let's say you're dash dancing around here, they don't want to land into your like dash grab range, right? Like
Hmm.
they're going to land further away from you. Could you also maybe use your dash jump aerials to catch them in spots as they're coming down, by kind of going on top of them to get pokes?
Yeah, I get it. This is like kind of something that I theorized a little bit. Because when I was playing with preeminent,
Mm-hmm.
uh, one thing that Ben is really good at that you're not as space your aerials and just kind of like hit me and chip away ever. Um, and then I was like, that seems good to me like sometimes, but it only kind of seems good to me when they're not really expecting it.
Yeah, right. But this is how we can create that lack of expectation, because if we're representing our ground game and then we switch to aerials or vice versa, then they can only really play around one or the other, right? They can,
Yeah.
I guess they can play around both, but then they wind up in the corner or shielding on a platform or something, and then like that's fine for us anyway. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Some pieces are coming together.
Nice. So is there anything here that still doesn't make sense, or anything that we've talked about that's kind of hazy? Or
Um.
is this fairly, like, where are you at right now?
This situation is pretty well covered. Now I'm thinking about like ways that proactively confuse my opponent.
Okay. So the mic is cutting out a lot. Are you like still moving around a lot, or is it pause?
Uh,
Like, what's
I'm
going on?
not.
Okay.
I'm not moving around like at all, so I'm really not sure what's happening.
Okay, let me
I
double
can
check.
like try to watch my mic and see if it starts cutting out. Like, are you hearing me completely clearly now?
Yes.
Okay. I moved the position of my laptop. It's like up on my knees now. I don't know.
Okay. Well,
Maybe
hopefully.
this will be better.
I mean, so far so good. So, you know what? Let's just keep our fingers crossed. Um. So we're talking about confusing our enemies, which is something I quite enjoy. Um, what are your thoughts? So you said you're not sure how you would go about doing it. Well, what do you usually do? Because like if you were operating strictly from the ground, how would you go about it?
Um, what I do is I try to feint, like I'll try to make it look like I'll do what most people would do as a prelude to something else, and then I'll do something else instead. Like when people are running across the they're gonna try to hit you. So I'll run across the stage and then I'll wait, or I'll run across the stage and then I'll like be in a different position.
Gotcha. Okay. So to build on that, is it possible we can do something similar with jumps? Like dash somewhere, jump back, dash somewhere, jump forward, dash dance, jump in waveland. Like, presume you've got like a lot of movement tools out of these options. Um, yeah. What are your thoughts on something like that?
That definitely makes sense to me. The first thing that I think about is like kind of trying to feign that you're gonna do a fair,
Mm-hmm.
short hop AC fair. I can see my own mic cutting out, so I'm trying to like adjust for that and repeat myself where necessary. Um, Feigning a short hop AC fair, fast falling instead, and then like what they do to punish it.
Yeah. I mean, like, I think all of that makes perfect sense to me. Like, that's I think the other thing that we forget is that we're pretty mobile out of, like, if we just walk, right? We're pretty mobile out of that action. Um, Walking forward or dashing forward into like immediate retreat back air, if they start trying to like putt and fall into us to try to get on top of us where our forward tilt doesn't hit, that's also a pretty reasonable way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because yeah, it also recreates that, like, below but to the side of him position, and doesn't require us to gamble on timing mix-ups with our up tilt. So yeah, food for thought.
Okay.
Yeah, why don't we continue a little bit further and see if we can pick up any more insights? But yeah,
Sounds good.
I think that we've got some good takeaways so far. Like, so from my perspective, like, we've looked a lot about like kind of how ground and air don't necessarily have to be treated like so separately.
Mm-hmm.
The two link up quite a bit, and then yeah, just like general, like, what are some of the rules of that position, and how can we like yeah, how can we take advantage of them in when we're both, above Fox, below Fox, etc.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, and we also talked a bit about ledge dash and how we don't necessarily need to confront this guy.
hmm I've been taking like a little bit of notes, and I have most of that written down.
Perfect. I mean, this is being recorded. Like, I'm gonna put this up, so
Yeah, that too, that too.
interesting. So why wave dash forward? How come not dash cancel
Um,
or walk?
uh,
Because after you wave dash forward, if you buffer walk full forward, yeah, you kind of like start at close to max walk momentum.
mhm. Probably just a comfort thing.
Hmm. I ask because do you think that there would be a benefit to having a more flexibility when you're moving forward?
I think the way that I did it was kind of unreactable. So since I knew what I was going to be doing at the time, I'm not sure how much it would have changed.
Sure, this time, but like, do you see a
Yeah,
benefit in the future? Because like, you can
yeah,
potentially change
I
direction.
do.
Okay, cool.
Especially if I want to like play that situation over and over again and try to establish mix-ups off of it.
Yeah, just keeps us from being like a little from because I think the wave dashes were extremely well executed, and I totally see why they make sense there. Like why advancing like forward tilt makes sense there. I'm just trying to think like going forward. If this guy knows Sheik really well, he's gonna know that play. So
Mm-hmm.
we might want something that gives us a little bit more room to outplay him later.
Mm-hmm.
God, he even plays like Ben, but like Fox version. No, I'm kidding. They play nothing like each other. Like Ben's really cool and he's efficient. You're like dying, aren't you?
Yeah.
Oh, that was nasty. Let's go. I love your footing though. That is like the thing that I'm like really like. There, you see, you did it. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I got those.
Yeah, I got those on lock. All right. So I do like what I'm seeing. Good up here. Good attempt. Okay. Fox is cheating. But but like yeah, I think that this game is like is showing a lot of the things that like, I think that you have like the framework like that. So how you pinned him with like the fair moving forward, and then like with your respawn invincibility and got him into the corner. What we're really trying to do is like that's kind of one of the places where her aerials and ground game intersect. It's like how can we use our aerials, which are so low lag, to like kind of pin people in spots where her like more immediate threats can potentially like work.
hmm
Because that's really kind of like we're using the aerials kind of to steer them into the spots where our ground game is more effective. Um, yeah, that's kind of like what a lot of the purpose of her stuff is, in my opinion.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah, because you can kind of see it there, right? Like how that fair like pushed him there, and then as a result of him having to make a decision, you were able to catch him with the up tilt.
Would you be able to go back to it so I can see it more closely?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me head there. So it happened when there.
Yeah, I can see now how he was like kind of spacing around the forward air.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
like
okay.
yeah, so like we've all seen people do that with our back air and our needles too, right? So because those are dangerous moves to get hit by, especially at knockdown percents or just needle anytime. Um, so using that as a way to like kind of guide the opponent into the spots where Sheik is strongest, I think that should be a focal point because that'll make your ground baits more effective because you can just put them in spots where they're like more powerful.
hmm
Instead of having to necessarily play with such an open map, you can go into the scrap zones where Sheik is really, really strong. And I think it'll overall let your existing strengths shine further because yeah, you have a great ground game. You have a really good way of moving like in relation to him and getting in on him. He's just not letting you do it. So take that away from him. Put him in a spot where he has to make a decision, like this one.
Hmm. hmm
I can hear you thinking. What are you thinking?
Much to think about. It's how I take all of these things and actually like implement them into my game. I'm imagining situations and like sort of recoding what situation so I can like structure it more around the things that I now have to think about.
Okay. Well, so I do have a little bit of experience on this character. So,
Hmm.
as with all of my learners, if you have follow-up questions about the content that we've gone over today, I am here to help. I promise I actually get back to learners' questions. Like, I don't just disappear into the void after this. That's why I charge the big bucks. Um, yeah. So we have 4 minutes left. Talk to me. How did you find this? Do you find this is working for you, or am I just insufferable? It's okay if you answer. You can be honest.
No, this is quite excellent. I found it to be incredible. I just wish it could keep going. But that's not your fault and that's not my fault, you know?
No, for sure. And I mean, like, I have other people, so like, I can't today. But like, you know what? If you ever want to add like another half an hour or something, yeah, let me know. And if I have the time, I'll see if if I can do it. I'm happy to accommodate that. So
Okay.
this is actually quite fun. Please though, let's get that mic sorted out for next time because I
Yeah.
I feel like playing. I feel like yeah, you're clearly very bright and you clearly have very well thought out ideas, and I just wish I could hear them without having to play broken telephone.
Yeah, I'll see what I can do about that.
This is such a good tech chase. You don't do the wave dash all the time, I notice, or ever really.
Yeah, I don't usually.
This is a good way that your aerials can support your ground game. By the way, so you see how he misses this down tilt.
Mhm.
So this to me is like one of the classic like tricks of the matchup. Using your aerials in a way that like pushes him far enough so that if he crouch cancels them, his CC option misses. Because then you can use the landing spot you have and the L cancel time, or auto cancel, whatever, as a reaction point to see what he does. Because if he does bite, then you go in and counter hit him. Like this to me is a free dash attack. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
and then if he doesn't bite because he like takes a more passive line because he shields or like waits or turn or whatever, then you can go for the aerial again. Or you can dash
Hmm.
towards him and threaten grab on him and then like potentially do a dash dance bait. So you have like a much more variable system out of this spot. Do you want me to grab you a screenshot of this?
No, I think I've got it.
Okay, cool. But you can see what I mean there, because like imagine if we'd gone for like exactly, you do it again. He winds up shielding there, and then because he shields there, like to me, this is why we don't go into the air again here. Like this would be like I would absolutely be paying very close attention to what he does, like what his character does after getting hit. The second I see
Hmm.
that shield, I'm either thinking, okay, can I pressure him and get a shield poke, or do I go for the grab, or do I try to make him flinch? Um, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense to me.
Hmm. I love that bait. It's so fun. That said, I very much like your Sheik, and I can see why you like this matchup because, yeah, like the way that you play the ground game is quite excellent, and that's really what you need versus Fox. The aerial stuff is important, but ultimately this is a matchup that's won somewhat by gambling because no character can compete with Fox's neutral forever. So
Yeah.
yeah, you just have to make good calculated choices, and you have that. I quite like this.
Not sure what I'm supposed to do here when they just keep teching away. Like eventually I just broke and dash attacked, but we
Oh,
have 1 minute, so
on that one. So I know that all the rage is RTC fair, like the short up fair. I just forward throw him.
okay.
He's at 150. Like just pummel him 3 times and forward throw him. It's fine. Like
Okay. I can do that. I know how to do that.
yeah, because I just the other like if even if like okay, so if you dash it, if you the other thing that's not terrible, although it's situational. Okay, so if he lands closer to the edge, like if he lands around here, and you can like get right up, you can like grab him right on the tip of the stage. If you down throw him, you can also run off fair sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I think if he's like around here, it's totally fine to just if you can't do the fair, and you don't want to down smash him for because he's gonna tech it forever. Just forward throw him and just like hit the back air off stage. It's fine, like it works.
Okay. I can do that. All right, we are at time.
For sure. But anything before we hit the road? Because I loved this. I really enjoyed this. This is probably one of the sessions I've enjoyed the most. But yeah, What did you?
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I've also had a great time, and I would be happy sometime.
Amazing. So let me know when that is. I'll let you go for now, and yeah, hopefully we chat soon. And if you have any questions, like I said, just hit me up.
Okay.